Hey, good morning, everyone. So last night was fun. I ran into some folks I've been hiking around for the past few days. We went and grabbed some Mexican food that was at a restaurant just right off the trails with PK, Boombox, and Honeybee. And we ended up then hiking just a little bit further to a tent site where we ended up finding, a church organization allows for hikers to camp in their baseball field. So ended up staying there last night. I'm actually now hiking about half a mile backwards southbound because there is a good little market where I need to do a light resupply, and they've also got some breakfast food. So gonna grab that and then get back on trail here today. About 36 miles away from Pawling, New York, which is the next big resupply spot. So I could try to push and do it in 2 days. I think I'm going to try to go just a little bit short and then hike in on day 3 so I can spend kind of a Nero. My group is actually a little bit behind me now. This is the first and probably only time that I'll actually be ahead of them. But they all had various things to do in New York City, or a few of them stayed in the previous town to do a full zero. So I'm going to take advantage of that, try to get into Pawling and actually be able to rest while I'm there. So it's been a little bit of a hot day already, or a hot morning, so we'll see how bad it gets in the afternoon. But and it's going to be another probably lots of rock climbs and scrambles, unfortunately. But yeah, should hopefully be a good day. Looking forward to being able to zero in Pawling in a few days and catch back up with my group. You have to forgive me because I'm about to be hiking uphill, but I wanted to say this. So far, my biggest complaint with New Jersey and New York is that it is not blazed very well. There have been many a time where the trail will kind of split into 2 or sometimes even 3, and you expect there to be a blaze, and there isn't. And so you end up just kind of having to guess, and more often than not, you are wrong. So then you have to hike back and find another way. It's very frustrating. Whew, all right, now that I'm at top. Something else too, I've noticed here in New York at least, we are near the city, so I get it, there's a lot of day hikers, but there's been a lot of glass all over the trail. Clearly people are bringing out beer bottles and just smashing them in the ground. It's really upsetting and frustrating that people would do that, but hey, it is what it is. Whenever I see trash, I do try to pick some up on the trail, at least one item a day, just to help do my part at cleaning up the trail. This section of trail, so I had a lot of really cool rock formations, like the one that I'm about to hike up here. It definitely makes for pretty hiking, but very difficult too. So this is the telephone of the wind, and it's basically an unconnected rotary telephone that is to be used to talk to those of your loved ones that have passed. It says, may you hear their voices in the wind. May you be at peace with your losses. It's very cool. I like that. While that art installation is very cool and very sweet, it's probably also how you get Nora. So I am not going to touch it. Hey, good morning, everyone. So last night I ended up staying at the Canopus Lake Beach Shelter, which is a brand new shelter just built last year in 2021. And we had a pretty large sized crew. I'd say maybe about 10 to 15 other thru hikers that stayed at the shelter. It was nice because there were some facilities very close by, and there's actually also a concession stand that was unfortunately closed by the time I got there, but some of the other folks were able to take advantage of that. They also had some showers, which was nice. But today I'm going to be hiking about 10 miles, and I should be able to hit a deli slash pizza place, which will be a nice stop for lunch. And then I will also have a maybe, kind of a short day, probably only going to do about 15 miles total. And that way I can then just hike maybe 5 more miles in the morning to get into town. So the day has been pretty nice. It did rain last night, and so my gear's a little wet. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of leaving my shoes outside my canopy yesterday, and so unfortunately my shoes were soaked, so I had to wait a little bit for them to dry out before I could get started on the trail. But I did just order some new shoes. They should be arriving hopefully this week, sometime this week, and I'll be picking those up in Kent, Connecticut, which is about maybe 50 miles away from here. I do plan to take at least 10 during that time, so hopefully there'll be plenty of time for the shoes to arrive before I get to Kent. But yeah, my crew is still about a day behind, so another reason why I'm not really in any sort of big rush. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a good day. I feel good, my legs feel good, toes are still a little tender from having my issue the other day with my socks getting dirty and wet, and so hoping that will go away within the next day or so. I did order some new socks. Hopefully having some new socks will help as well. So yeah, let's get after it. All right, only 760 miles to Mount Katahdin. We've gone about 1425 so far. All right, this is the RPH shelter. It's actually really nice. So you've even got some little mats on the bunks. It looks like if you come back around here, there's a water spigot, although I've heard that they've turned all these off, unfortunately. So I guess I've never really explained the point of the logbooks. Back in the day, they were much more useful than what they are now. Nowadays with cell phones, you can just text your buddies and tell people where you're at and communicate any sort of information you need to. But back in the day, people used to use the logbooks to kind of catch up with their friends, show where they're at, allowed people to track one another. And it also allowed you to communicate any potential dangers or threats or issues, whatever might be coming up along the way that you want to be able to communicate to folks behind you. So it's still a lot of fun to read through them, kind of track where people are at and when they came through those shelters. But yeah, it's a cool tradition. I'm glad they keep it going. Also, a lot of times the people who maintain the shelters, they use those logbooks as well, just to get some feedback from the thru hikers. So if they need to change anything, if there's issues, the hikers can write that in there, and it communicates it to the people that are in charge of maintaining them. So yeah. There are 6 blazes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all within about 20 feet of each other. Yeah, I think I got it. I think I figured it out, AT. Thanks. Oh, look, 7. All right, so today's been a good day so far. Making good mileage. Probably less than 2 miles, I would think, from the deli and pizzeria, which I am ecstatic about, but it is so humid. You can't tell by the camera right now. It is kind of foggy because there's just nothing that is dry on my body right now for me to dry it off. So, I don't even think it's sweat. It's just like the humidity builds up all on my clothes and my legs and my arms and face, everything, my gear. Tough day. Hey, good morning, everyone. So, yeah, I don't think I filmed a outro last night. I went and got the pizza at the store or the deli, and pizza place that was right off the road. And then I ended up just hiking only a couple more miles, set up camp and called it a night. There were some section hikers that were there. Sorry, I gotta hike over this blow down here. There were some section hikers, or I guess weekenders, I don't know, that were there. Very quiet, did not say anything. There's 3 of them. They didn't even talk to each other. It was very strange. I don't understand that. I guess there's that idea where it's like we're through hiking is almost like our home to us. Weekenders, they're very quiet. They don't like to chat, I guess, because they don't care. They're not going to see any of us ever again. But it is funny seeing the differences between the types of hikers. Obviously, not everyone's that way, but there's definitely a stereotype. But yeah, so anyway, I woke up this morning pretty early. I am only hiking 8.5 miles to get to town. I'm going to go into Pawling. End up getting a hotel there, which is very expensive, and I'm having to do it solo. It's a little treat yourself. I haven't showered in like 2 weeks. I haven't had a proper warm shower in 2 weeks or laundry in 2 weeks. So I am ready to have just a nice treat yourself day. So I'm going to go in, probably get in around noon. I'm going to be doing my errands quick and then just relaxing and hoping. I think they're supposed to have a really nice bath there. Hopefully I can take a nice little Epsom salt bath and relax. But anyway, the trail is pretty decent here today. The weather's nice, so I don't mind it too much. The only problem, I don't really have a solution yet to get into town. I think it's like a 3-mile drive, so gonna get to the trailhead. Usually someone's there that's got a ride, or I may end up just needing to hitch a ride into town. We'll see. Sometimes there's Ubers, it doesn't, whatever it is, but not too concerned about it. When I get there, I'll figure it out. So a little later today, I'm going to be coming across a lake named Nuclear Lake, and the reason for that was that there was a plutonium research facility nearby that in the 70s had a explosion or a chemical leak. And so apparently the government came in and cleaned it up, and they have deemed it, the area and the soil safe. However, you will not find me drinking water from that lake. So I cameled up, and so I should have plenty of water to make it through that area. But I have heard that it's a very pretty lake though, so I'll definitely get some video of it for y'all. I always think that's funny though. Some folks were talking about camping there, but I think I'm going to try to spend as little amount of time in that area as possible. So So one of the things I did not fully realize before getting on trail, and I don't think a lot of people realize this until they're actually out here and hiking, to do 20 to 25 miles a day, you are basically running most of the day. You are in a light jog, which is very difficult when you're constantly navigating around rocks. I mean, you are power walking at the least. And so it doesn't matter if you're going uphill, downhill, especially when you're going downhill, you better be jogging. You are moving quick, and that's how people get injured. You're not taking a nice little stroll in the woods. You're moving. So that's why when I hear these people that just consistently do 25, 30 mile days, I mean, you are waking up before the sun, you're out of camp by the time that the sun is up, and you get into camp around the time that the sun goes down, or you are night hiking. There's very, very few breaks. You might take 30 minutes for lunch, the occasional sit break for a snack. That is it. It's actually very impressive. When you hear about people doing 25-mile days consistently, a guy that I just started with on the AT, he just finished actually the trail. So he completed it in under 4 months. I mean, he was flying, absolutely flying. I don't think people realize what an incredible feat of athleticism and strength that is, and endurance. Because your feet are getting banged up, your knees, your ankles, everything is hurting all day, every day in order to do something like that. It's really just incredible. I just want to give a shout out to people that do that. That is just incredible. This is the Dover oak tree. It's the largest tree in the north. Pretty cool. It's right off the road here and right near the AT. All right.